Roman comes out with Sikoa and Heyman and is followed by Cody Rhodes. Strong reaction from all of them. Like, they're buzzing. This is the big main event segment. And Cody wants Reigns to define what kind of problem he has with him. And he stops Heyman from answering because he wants to hear straight from the tribal chief. Reigns explains that Cody is not a problem. What you represent is the problem. You are what we used to be, a professional wrestler. I'm a fighter. And that's allowed me to be a megastar. And he's not going to do any of the things he says, noting how Cody has run away from everything in his career. Stardust didn't work. You ran away from it. So you went out, you started a company that you couldn't get over in, and you ran away from there as well. You came running here, which was like a really interesting positioning of like, the company you couldn't get over in, you've come to this company, and he acknowledges you have gotten over here, but your body gave up on you here.
So do you have any issue with the term get over being used repeatedly?
Not as much as some may, because to me, getting over is you're popular with the crowd.
Or winning is what I hope that, the character is being in kayfabe. Like,
I don't think it's even that bad to just say like getting over, like what it literally is. Like you are popular with our audience. Like that is
why should you need to be popular if you're winning? Why is being popular important?
Well, I mean, if you, it's not saying that he hasn't. Like he's been undefeated since he's come into WWE, but it's like the audience has also embraced you. Like that is the story of Sami Zayn. That's the story of Daniel Bryan. It's like,
yeah, for me, I don't have an issue with it. Like I'm just bringing up this question because I mean, it's a similar conversation as I've seen people have after Dynamite with the, the four pillars conversation.
Which even that one I didn't have a big issue with. I would have reworded a bit of what Guevara said, but it was, right. I don't know. I think in this day and age, a lot of the audience is understanding and more open to that kind of dialogue within the show, as long as it's not so insulting to your intelligence.
Yeah. I think there's a fine line where you really want to maybe inject some of that type of discussion about getting over in order to really build up a believable feud versus maybe going too far and making the story not believable from a scripted, professional wrestling competition sense. And it's a challenge, but I'm not as sensitive to it, at least, as
I don't want them to be getting into the territory of like how, like you're being booked to go over and like, this is all bullshit. Like that's the stuff you get in that is just like your WCW territory. That is just drove off an audience.
But in this story, Cody didn't get popular in AEW, so he left to go to WWE, where he could
basically stated anytime you've run into a wall, you've run away from that challenge, and you're not built for this. Your PEC tour, and April 2nd, it's your lottery ticket. But the next day you have to wake up and look in the mirror, and again you have to confront adversity, and hopefully you can handle that. Or else you'll run away like a little bitch. So now Cody's got his retort, and he acknowledges he did run away. And he is not worried because what he did while he was gone was make this locker room have the ability to make a whole lot more money, which is very true, that now there's a viable alternative. Like they have leaned a lot more on AEW than I had anticipated, but it's working to their advantage.
I have to imagine this is maybe more of a, I can't even say that for sure, but I imagine like that is not as surprising to me with Paul Levesque in charge as it would be maybe with the old guard. And I think Vince would have given like Cody a whole lot of leeway as well. I mean, he's the guy who brought him in as his American Nightmare character. It's part of the character. He's the guy stepping through the forbidden door, exactly as, the same person who was there before.
Now, I do think, speaking of like this line, I'm not saying this is like an inside line, but I also do see it as one that some fans are not going to know what he means by this.
You mean like
making money for the locker room, and like just like the idea of like what another company has meant for the industry and how it helps WWE talent.
You don't think so, hey?
I think there's some that are just not like going to be understanding like of the industry and how it works. Like if you are somebody that is watching and not following wrestling, significant level.
Yeah, I don't disagree there, because WWE is catering to a big audience, and I don't know. Well, my dad, who decides to watch WrestleMania this year, will he understand? He probably won't. But I would also say, like, we've gone far enough now with the Cody Rhodes story and the Cody Rhodes character that, like, something like this doesn't feel out of place. Like, his whole identity is been, like, cutting promos similar to this, and it's the type of line where, like, if you don't get it, you don't get it, you move on. And if you do get it, then it just adds a little bit more.
He says he always wanted to be a superstar, but maybe you're right, Roman. Maybe I'm just a violent professional wrestler. And no one needs to hear my dad's name brought up again, or else it's going to make me vomit. He's not showing up to give anyone a bionic elbow. My brother works elsewhere. In fact, you should ask my Cuban mother what she would tell me to do to you, and that's knock you out. What April 2nd can mean for Roman Reigns is that the next day on April 3rd, you have to wake up and remember what it feels like to lose without the titles, and Jay is going to leave you. Then Jimmy is going to leave you. And he looks at Solo Sikoa in the ring and says, from one guy who used to be under the thumb of another second generation wrestler, you're not ready. And when Solo leaves, then Heyman will become an advocate again, and all of a sudden you will have no family and be a chief without a tribe. And ends with Cody chants, and Reigns and Heyman just walk out of the ring, and they think Sikoa's with them. They turn around, Sikoa is still in the ring, locked in Cody's face. Reigns asks, what's he doing? And he yells for Solo to come. And Cody repeats, you're not ready, just like I thought. And Solo pauses, comes back. He's about to deliver the Samoan spike, but he's stopped with a boot from Cody, and Reigns stops Sikoa from engaging as the show ends, and the crowd is yelling, you're not ready, at Solo Sikoa.
Yeah, Reigns was also mouthing next week, he basically said, you'll have Cody next week and wait till then. So seems like we're getting Solo versus Cody, which for a go home Raw, you would expect Cody to beat Solo Sikoa. If there's a time to end the Solo Sikoa streak, I feel like
two streaks, really. Excuse. Like, Cody's been undefeated since he's come back to WWE, right? And Solo since he's been called up. So listen, you build up an undefeated streak to cash it in for the big win. And going into your biggest show of the year with your heir apparent, that would be the time to beat Solo Sikoa. I
think so too, and I hope it's a substantial match, just for Solo's sake. But I mean, undefeated streaks don't last forever, and they shouldn't last forever. You shouldn't be building a career off of an undefeated streak. And Solo, I don't even think people necessarily think about the undefeated streak when they see him. He has way more to offer than just that. So next week seems like a good time for it. Cody, I thought, sounded great. It's imperative that he comes out of these exchanges looking better than Roman Reigns, looking cooler than Roman Reigns. And I think Roman's opponents, there have been really good ones, but it's not always easy to find, a babyface that can live up to, I think, how great of a character Roman Reigns has become. Cody does. He doesn't just live up to Roman. He exceeds Roman. He sounds better. And the retorts, I think, have been really, really strong. He's outshining Reigns on the mic. He's outshining Reigns in terms of just, logic in story. Very good threat from Cody here, basically, getting to the heart of everything that they built up throughout the show. The one thing Roman probably does feel most insecure about is his family leaving him, the threat of Jay leaving, the threat of Jimmy leaving, the threat of Solo leaving, and then Heyman leaving as well. Cody kind of hitting Roman with that at the very end, I thought was like the biggest shot we've probably seen from Cody in this feud.
Yeah, and the ultimate conclusion after a segment is like, do you have more or less interest in the match? And I sense like a ton of buzz for this match. Like that is what they are accomplishing with these segments, building this up to feel like a major WrestleMania main event. And it has that feel 2 weeks out. So WrestleMania feels like it's in very good shape.